When you had an intern in 1974, she's done pretty good, hasn't she?
She's done very good. Christine Lagarde, one of the most impressive and capable women in the world.
I think that all of our audience worldwide would like to know what she was like as an intern many, many years ago and what it was like to see her now with all that she's accomplished with her law firm in Chicago and on to service for the French government. What did you see there that you see now?
I saw a very young, tall, elegant young woman who was very gifted with language. She taught me a lot about France. I hope I was able to teach her a little bit of politics in Washington.
I mean, within that, though, in the reach that she has, she faces a unique responsibility now with the IMF. Americans distrust the IMF. We write the check for them is the stereotype. How should we trust her institution?
I think we should trust her because she is really gifted, capable, tough-minded, but fair. I would say we should put enormous confidence in the IMF with her at the leadership.
And as Corr, we've been talking about, the one theme for this hour has been military power versus economic power. And part of this is these international institutions like the IMF. How important is this fight over, for example, what the IMF's reach is or whether or not the U.S. joins the Asian Infrastructure Bank?
Well, I think that the struggle that's going on now with Greece is, again, a struggle for influence and territory. And I think that what Putin is trying to do is to pull Greece into its own sphere of influence. In the 1940s and 1950s, actually, Greece almost went over to the old Soviet sphere of influence. We were able to stop that and pull it back into Europe. I think Putin now is trying to bring them back. And I think the real danger would be if Putin could convince Tsipras to default on the loan and thereby try to pull Greece more into their influence.
Secretary Cohen, earlier we had Carl Weinberg on from High Frequency Economics suggesting that China might want to play a role at some point. Is the Chinese leadership taking notice of all of this?
I'm sure they're taking notice, and they certainly have the resources, but I think China's very cautious at this point. Right now, they're concerned about being the regional power in the Asia-Pacific region. At some point in time, they will want to extend that. But right now, I think they're more focused on their internal problems and building a much stronger, not only economic power, which is already powerful, but military power in the region, in the Asia-Pacific.
China may not want to step on Russia's toes, too. This is Russia's area. Russia is leaving Asia to China. I think that you're going to see some respect between these two.
Can I ask a basic question? Did all you guys play Risk as kids?
Yes.
Did you go like 3-on-2 Central America as kids? You know, shaking the dice on a July.
Robert Kaplan, I know you took the Australia strategy, right? You quietly build up troops and then you make a late game move, right?
I mean, this is not much different. These interdependencies. Post-world,
well, they are. I mean, I'm intrigued by Anders Corr's sort of sense of history of where Greece belongs. Secretary Cohen, of course, there's a statue of Harry Truman in Athens that goes right to the heart of this. Are we just looking right now at the same 100-year struggle to see where Greece goes in the Cold War?
I think we are. As a matter of fact, we mentioned the Kosovo campaign before. Greece was sympathetic with the Russians at that point. They were not supportive, openly supportive of Russia, but that's where their sympathies were. So I think there's still a divide there with Greece.
Anders Corr, what is the exogenous shock you worry about as we see Putin speak, Tsipras speak, all that's going on as we go into this weekend with Greece? What's the exogenous shock that keeps you up at night?
Well, I think if there's miscalculation in that area, what's going on in both the IMF brinksmanship and the territorial brinksmanship in Ukraine is, people are increasing the risk level in order to get better gains in the negotiated bargain. So the possibility is that if there's some sort of miscalculation or if something spirals out of control and forces the other side to react and escalate, I think that's the danger. But at the same time, Russia has 1/10 the military spending of NATO countries. I think they're more worried about things getting out of control than we are. And so I think we have the upper hand.
Part of everything that we're talking about right now is how well business does in Greece. That's the goal of all these reforms that Germany and the rest of the Eurozone are insisting on. What is that environment like right now in Greece? Has it improved?
It's extremely difficult, and this is why we talked off camera. I think Tsipras, my own hope is, we're going through a choreography where at the end he intends to do a deal. and I think the Europeans intend to do a deal. But people need to realize he needs to play to a domestic audience. He's talking about cutting pension benefits, more increase in value-added taxes. Before he agrees to all that, he needs to prove to his population he's tried everything else. That's how he got into office. And so the danger, as Andrews is saying, when you're going down to the 11th hour and that is your strategy, right, there's always a chance of a miscalculation.
Okay. We'll come back. Cohen, Kaplan, and Corr is with us this hour.